that yesterday we got such great feedback on our webinar, and it made me really happy to see that it was really helpful for people. That's really important for us. And you know, I'm also just want you to know that I can speak for myself. I think I can speak for both of us, but definitely for myself. I got so much out of connecting with all of you all, and just like the energy that I felt by our moments of connection was amazing. So thank you for being with us. Thanks for being here. You know, this is day 2 of our webinar series, Shifting from Fear to Resilience During These Unprecedented Times. Yesterday, we were present, really looked at presence with ourselves, within ourselves. Today, we're going to really be focusing on being present with others and what that looks like. Now, before we delve in, I just want to let you know that on a daily basis, we're going to be pushing out a bunch of additional resources through social media. So I'm going to be adding my Instagram name and my Twitter handle to the chat. And if you have additional questions or want to talk to us further about additional support either for you or your district, I'm also going to put our email up, info@eqschools, and then also our link to the website. So I'll put that in the chat and just remind you about that at the end. With that, Allison is going to take over and set some context for what we'll be doing today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's so good to be with all of you, just to see so many of your faces. And, you know, these are just pretty wild times that we're dealing with, and it just feels so good for me to come together with all of you. And today, the theme is about connection and vulnerability. And, you know, the reality that we're coping with is that a lot of us, I mean, probably all of us, are affected by the social distancing that is now expected. And I imagine that a lot of you are off of work, and, you know, we're not doing our activities, we're not doing the things, you know, going out in the world and, you know, going to restaurants, meeting friends, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of a tough reality that we're coping with right now. And it's really easy to get isolated. And I think actually we end up in either of these extremes where we can be isolated from like friends and from colleagues and things like that. And then we also can sometimes have a little too much of our families and be, you know, stuck in the house with our kids and our partners and, you know.
What are you trying to say?
We work from home, so we already see a lot of each other. So it's not a huge change for us, but I know it can be a jarring transition for a lot of you. Yeah, and I think just as far as like the isolation, like we are social creatures. We are meant to be in connection with other people. Our brains are wired for this. It's just a part of what makes us human. And you know, we really need each other to rely on. Like we don't survive well alone. we need to have each other. And so it's just so important that in this time when we're having this physical distance, that we find ways to connect with one another. And I think even one of the traps that can happen with online is that we might get more into like the logistical pieces of like what needs to get done and not create those little opportunities for connection. I mean, even just like a little, you know, just looking at someone or a 30-second, you know, check-in or question or something like that can sometimes make a really big difference. And I think it's really easy to forget that kind of stuff and just focus on kind of getting the job done or whatever. And so it's just important that we kind of consider like, where are these even small opportunities for connection with one another in this time? So Brene Brown talked about, I don't remember if it was in one of her books, but about this village where all of the women would go down to the river to wash their clothes. And once they got washing machines, there was a sudden outbreak of depression. And I think that this really illustrates the fact that they were having all these social connection opportunities, and then they became isolated in their homes. And so I think these are just some of the pitfalls that we are going to be facing as a culture, that we're going to have to find creative ways to find connection amidst the reality that we're dealing with, which we frankly don't know how long is going to last for. And another interesting piece is that relationships are actually the #1 predictor of longevity and well-being. There's this Harvard men's study, there's a cool TED talk on it, where they just talk about how having relationships and people that you can rely on is just a really important factor. And so it just needs to not be underestimated. I think it's something that we don't think about enough in our culture, about really feeding the relationships in our life. And I think that also when we're talking about connecting with other people, especially in this time when there's like a lot of uncertainty, a lot of feelings, a lot of fears, a lot of irritations, things like that, it can be really easy when we're connecting with one another to try to go into fix-it mode, to try to solve the problem. We want to get them out of pain. A lot of times we feel like we want to get them somewhere. We want them to not feel bad, and we can have the most pure and beautiful intentions for them. And yet a lot of times when we're on the receiving end of that, it doesn't feel
coming from the phone, Andy.
To have someone mute.
Yeah, let me just go ahead.
Yeah. And so I just completely lost my train of thought. But anyway, yeah, so we just wanted to talk a little bit more. Roni's going to take it from here and talk a little bit more about attuned resonance. And we're going to get into some sharing that we're going to do with one another. And we'll get into that.
So thanks for that. So what's interesting about social support, especially during times like that, is that there's a certain quality of social support that is particularly really powerful. And that is social support that also includes emotional attunement in it. So I want to define emotional attunement for you, and then we'll kind of delve and share a little bit more tips on how to experience it with one another, even virtually, even through Zoom or even on the phone. And then we'll delve into an exercise. So emotional attunement is basically defined as using all of our senses to understand what someone is feeling. So much so that we feel it, in a way, we feel it too. It takes being able to sense, to interpret, and respond to someone so that she or he don't feel alone any longer. And in a way, when I think about it, I think of it almost like as listening and attuning at a 10 out of 10 level. You know how like we've all had the experience of someone listening to us, and as they're listening to us, you're there with them, and you know full well in your head that they're like listening at a 3 out of 10. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they're not at a 10 out of 10 at all. And so for me, what's interesting about this is that as much as possible, I think that if in times like these, or just in general in our lives, we can slow ourselves down enough and then decide, okay, number one, I'm going to be as present as possible with this person. And I'm going to give him a 10 out of 10 attention. And also, I'm going to do my best to try to not think about what I'm going to say in response to what they're saying. I'm simply just going to really listen, really be here. And as I slow myself down and I'm not worried about trying to fix the problem. I'm not worried about what I'm going to say next. I'm simply okay with the fact that I'm practicing not knowing the answer and still being with the person. It's basically practicing in not needing to fix and not having the solution. When people are able to do that well, I think what ends up happening is that because they're not worried about what they're going to say next or trying to fix the problem, they're actually able to slow down enough to be able to notice what is not said. And 95% of communication is not noticing what is not said. It's noticing the emotions underneath, the energetic shifts underneath. Noticing what's happening to the person right now is, oh, this person is afraid, or this person is, kind of anxious. By the way, as I'm scrolling through, I'm seeing Amy's beautiful, beautiful child, and they're freaking cute and adorable. So I just wanted to say that. Hi. uh, and so going back, sorry, I got distracted from the cuteness. And so just going back, to me, it's also about taking a moment to sit with the person and being as 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 much as much as possible able to then hear what they're saying without interrupting. And after you hear what they're saying, really getting curious about their experience, maybe asking some follow-up questions, not from a place of judgment, but a place of curiosity. And then just kind of paraphrasing and reframing what it is that that they said in a supportive, empathic way. For example, Allison mentioned Brene Brown, and what's interesting with Brene Brown, in one of her talks, she shares about how at the end, she shares about the difference between empathy and sympathy, and she shares about how at the end, one of someone sharing with you, if you don't have an answer for them, one of the most powerful things you could say is, I don't even know what to say right now because I don't have the answer. I don't even know what to say, but I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, solutions don't make something better. What makes something better is connection. And another thing you could simply say is, wow, I hear you, and I get that this is hard. It's hard. And just having somebody share with you, like have somebody tell you that, can make such a difference to actually relax your system. And you can give that gift to others. So I feel like I've spoken enough. And what I want to do is I want to actually take a moment to allow us to connect with one another in a powerful exercise. And so I'm going to give you some guidelines for this exercise. And the prompt of the exercise is, what is something that you are currently struggling with? And of course, we're all struggling right now, but what is something in your life that you're currently struggling with that you'd like to share and would like some support around, even just be heard? Okay. And I'm going to put this in the chat. Now, one thing that I ask is, or one thing that I guess I am suggesting, is that you don't necessarily pick the most traumatic thing, that's happening for you right now, simply because we don't have a lot of time, and we want to fully be there for you, but we're limited in our capacity. And so I recommend that you pick something that is going on, maybe is causing a little bit of suffering, definitely some stress, and just begin to journal about this. So we're going to journal about it for about a minute or two, just right now. I'm not even going to break you into groups yet. We're just going to take a moment and journal about something that is causing you something you're struggling with, something that's causing you some stress or some suffering. And let's journal for about a minute and a half or two. In your journal, you can write about, what are your beliefs about the situation? What are your beliefs about yourself? What emotions are coming up? What sensations in the body you're feeling? So let's go ahead and just do that right now. And before you even start, I can invite you to take a deep breath. And I'll give you about 2 minutes to just journal. And after you journal, we're going to break you into groups, and you'll have an opportunity to share, and we'll tell you how to do that. And we're going to give you another, 30, 45 seconds to continue to journal. So take your time there. As you're doing it, just know that I'm going to be putting up some guidelines as to how to share in your groups. We're going to break you into groups of threes in a moment. And these are guidelines, so you don't have to follow them perfectly, but here they are. So the first will be when you get into your groups in a moment, I'm going to encourage you to obviously introduce yourself first, where you're from, your name, where you work if you want to share that. Then decide who will be partner A, who will be partner B, who will be partner C. Partner A will get a chance to share for about 1.5 to 2 minutes. Now, when partner A shares, partner B and C, see if you can, as much as possible, not interrupt. Of course, you can be empathic. You can have, empathic grunts and all of that. But as much as possible, see if you can not interrupt them. Because you will definitely get a chance after partner A shares, you'll get a chance to not only empathize and reflect and show just genuine support, but you can even ask them questions with genuine curiosity just to show them that you really got their reality. And at the end, person A, after the reflection, person A simply thanks them, person B and C, and then you rotate. So it will take, probably about 5 minutes or so, but even in per person, even in 5 minutes, there can be, or 4 or 5 minutes, there can be such amazing richness that can come from really being heard and listened to without being interrupted, and then being like having somebody really feel and express and reflect back to you that they feel not only you heard your words, but feel you. So we are going to thank you for sharing, by the way, on the chats, all the things that are coming up for you. And I just want to give you all a huge hug. Every time I'm reading this thing and I'm like, I just want to hug you right now. So with that though, I think it'd be even more powerful for all of us to connect in small groups. So we are going to divide you into small groups now. Again, these are the instructions on the chat. And we are going to have you come back in about 12 minutes or so, maybe a little more, 12, 15 minutes. So we're going to go over 30 minutes today with our webinar. Of course, if you cannot stay for more than 30 minutes, we totally understand. But you just want to put out there that that's what we're going to do, because it takes a little more time to connect everyone. We're going to come back after that and share just a few more things before we leave off. So that is, Rika, would you be open to maybe start us out and share where you're from and maybe where you work, and then also what's coming up, and we'll just be here for you and support you in that.
Yeah, I work with Reed Elementary School in Tiburon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my question would be I have a teenager who is in 8th grade and a little one, he's no more a little one, he's in 3rd grade. And my husband works for a software company, we're all at home and, with a lot of questions, whether the school will be closing down and, how does it, where is it taking us? Lot of thinking is going on in this. So, how exactly to, keep us calm, and what are the best options to, just be there and just be in present. And
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really tough to be having such uncertainty and trying to figure out the schooling, whether the school's going to be open or not. And yeah, that's a lot to sit with.
totally.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you're off of your work as well?
Yes, we're all off, and we're trying to get into some webinars, and we have some lined up activities. But yeah, just overall, how to really take this step by step.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and we are actually going to be sending out a resource list to everyone. that I compiled with like a whole bunch of like free classes and things like that, and like online resources. And so just hearing your share is just like making me be like, oh, I need to send that out. 'Cause we actually homeschooled our son for a while, and so we've like found, you know, certain resources, um and then yeah, because it is just a big brand new world for most parents right now to be figuring out what to do with their children. You know, it's a lot.
Yeah, it totally a different new, lifestyle, and we're learning. This has never happened, and
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. I'm
thank you,
wondering,
thank you.
I'm bummed out that we didn't get to hear Kate and Hillary. I don't know what happened,
Well,
um, but
I'm here. I don't, it's weird that,
you just
hey, we
unmute.
just
Yeah,
couldn't
there
hear
you go.
you.
Might be muted or something with
Oh
Kate.
yeah,
Okay,
well,
cool.
thank you. Well, welcome, Hillary. Do you want to share a little bit about what's going on for you?
yeah, can you hear me?
We
Yeah,
can
we can hear
now.
you now.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I work with Reka. Hi, Reka.
Hey, little Hillary.
Oh, yay.
And Kate, feel free to unmute
Oh,
yourself.
I can see her face because I work with her.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
beautiful.
That's awesome.
Oh, and also, if you wanted
I,
to start your video, you could start your video at the bottom so we can see your beautiful
yeah,
face. Right now, we just see
But
your
you don't have
names, but it's up to
to.
that,
you.
that's good for me right now. Um,
Same here.
yeah, no, I don't, I feel kind of like it's not really, I mean, aside from, not working, which is really weird. Um, it doesn't feel real. I don't know. The whole thing seems very surreal to me. They keep talking about all of these things that are happening. I don't really see it. It's odd. I don't know. It's weird. Um, I, you know, I, it's funny. My skill set is small people, and I don't have any small people around me. And I'm being forced into all of this technology, and that's my least strongest skill set. So just to do this today, I had to, like, in the middle of it, download the Zoom app into my phone, which I didn't even have. So like, I am just not a technology person. So being all of a sudden transferred to everything being done this way, I'm finding that I have very out of date systems, and I'm not really equipped for all of this. So, I'm getting like shit, I took 2 steps forward and 1 step back, just trying to make all the technology part work. Whereas if I were home with, that's where I would be thriving. And I have kids doing their school online. So, I'm not so concerned about how to navigate my family as much as I'm trying to think about how I'll navigate myself. But I guess I'll, at the end of it, have more skills in technology.
That's a lot to be just kind of thrown in, whether or not you wanted to be, and having to just figure out all this technology. And when your gift is really like small children, and working with them, and I imagine that it is just really surreal and really strange to be in this world right now.
Yeah. I mean, I've been offered jobs to be paid twice what I make, but I've never wanted to do it because it's sitting in front of a screen, which is now where I am. Makes me laugh.
Oh, yeah. Oh boy, that's rough.
But one of my teachers that I work with, I don't know, Reka, if they are doing it for you, but Miss Ford is adding me to Seesaw because the kids are sending her pictures of them working at home. So I'll get to start seeing that now.
Oh, that's nice. Good to hear that. I know. Even I was looking forward, like, as you said, it's hard to just sit in front of the screen and, not to do. Yeah. Hopefully something Lineberg, comes up with.
Marianne said she read a book and sent it to her teacher. So like, we can do stuff like that. Maybe just read a book or do a little, just even sending the kids pictures of what we're doing might be just something different for them to see, just so, they kind of stay connected with us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so sweet. I love that. I saw this. The children's author Mo Willems is doing this lunch doodle I don't know if it's every day or once a week, but he will like do a little doodle and then answer some readers' questions and stuff like that. And I'm going to send that link among the other resources that I'm going to send. But that kind of stuff is so cool to, find those ways to have that connection.
Hillary, one thing that sort of coming to me as you're sharing is that that like a wish that I have for you is around like being really gentle and kind with yourself, and as you are kind of futzing with the technology and trying to help your families and all this stuff, especially when it's like not necessarily your forte. And I imagine, I'm not necessarily saying that you're not at a place of calm and kindness, but I imagine that it's so easy to get frustrated with things that were not necessarily our natural like strengths. At least for me, like that's something that that happens. And when I also on top of it put a layer of like beating myself up, it gets even harder. Do you know what I mean? So that's just something I wanted to offer.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And I do have 2 experts in the house now that can assist me.
Thank you for
Nice.
sharing, Hillary. Really appreciate that. Kate, did you want to take Sure.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can now.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was in a different breakout on a different device, and I'm like Hillary, I'm bad with technology.
Very good.
But I worked with you both last year or at Reed. Now I'm at Bel Air. I work with a child with special needs in Bel Air, but I worked with Hillary and Rika in the past, so hello.
Hello.
So yeah, it's just stressful for me, like this news from the governor that it might be longer. Like, it just kind of makes my anxiety grow. I'm trying to get my teaching credential, and this next few weeks are really important for me to turn in. I was supposed to do lessons to get my TPA thing, that kind of stuff. That's personal stresses. And then our work put a lot of pressure on us to do a lot of like equivalent hours of professional development. Plus I'm doing my coursework. I have 2 teenagers at home, just kind of feeling a little like, when is this going to end, and overwhelmed. And, I hope I'm going to still keep getting paid. I'm a single parent. So just worried about it all, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot to be facing, and just not knowing how long the school closures are going to be going on, and be trying to do school with your kids at home, and it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. So just trying to breathe through it all, and try not to panic.
Totally. Yeah. Oh, that's really tough. Yeah, we're all facing some of that, just the unknown. I can have my own moments of overwhelm too, where I'm like, how is this all going to work? But we're all in it.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah. Do we need to go back, or?
We're going to go back in 2 minutes. I want to give Yolanda a moment, an opportunity to share as well. Kate, I just wanted to, before Yolanda shares, just that I totally feel for you, and I hear you. And in fact, I can absolutely resonate as well. Okay. Is there anything, so we have about a minute left. I'm just curious if there's anything that else that kind of wants to be said for anyone, or that's present for you, or just that you're feeling right now.
Well, I just want to say I think it's good that we're only a couple of days into this, and so we're kind of doing our work, but to just try and find a new routine for ourselves. I think that having a schedule, time sort of disappears when we're not supposed to be anywhere, or
Right.
and it's kind of nice knowing that at this time I'm going to be doing this, and that time it just kind of gives a weird little bit of order. So it's nice having a consistent even if it's 3 different webinars that we're doing a day or little check-ins, at least it's like that it gives a little bit of order into sort of this like, you know, very loosey-goosey schedule that we all have right now, which we're not used to.
Absolutely.
100%.
I resonate with that a lot.
Yes.
We found there's some schedule for kids like circulating the web, and we like took that and adapted it for our kids, and it's been really helpful. We've had less chaos since we started doing that, but you know, for us too, just having our own schedule can be really just a real new thing to be contending with. But yeah, I love that you're just, you know, finding webinars and, you know, just things that are helping to kind of ground you in building a new structure for yourself in this time.
And just so you know, we'll be sending out that as well, so you all will be able to get a chance to see that. So I'm going to be kind of closing our room right now and bringing everybody else back together. Just been such an honor to be with you all, even for this short brief period of time. Thank you for sharing and for being vulnerable and for being with us.
Yeah, thank you. Really great to connect with you.
So yeah, in about 55 seconds, you can just go back to the room. Hey, everybody. Carmen, I love the background that you have. Is it like, it's kind of like a green room almost. And
awesome.
yeah.
Hi. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I find out this is something you can do on the app. It says you can do your background like to be one color only. Oh. So I decided to try it on. Yeah. Thank you. Hi. Jacqueline here. Jacqueline from Brazil.
Yeah.
Oh.
Good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. So, all right, y'all. So we're at 11:39 at this point, and so we are going to just to send us off just for the day. But I just again want to so deeply appreciate all of you for being here and being with us. I'm gonna again put on the chat how you can get a hold of us on social media, how you can get a hold of us if you want more support. I'm really excited about tomorrow too. So tomorrow, we're going to be covering basically the power of positive emotions and how to experience more positive emotions in our lives on a consistent basis, having an intentionality to experience that on a consistent basis. And it turns out that these emotions are actually a protective measure, especially during times like these. So, and it's all drawn from positive psychology research. So super excited about it. Really hope you can join us tomorrow. And if not, we'll be sending out the videos. And please invite as many friends as possible. If you're getting value from what we're doing together and just from being together and connecting together, please let people know so they can join us. We'll send you the link as well. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be at peace. I want to try something real quick. I want to unmute everyone, and everyone can kind of like say bye and in kind of a cool way. Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.
Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Take care of yourselves. Bye.
Bye, Hillary.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Bye.
Stay healthy.
Yes.
Yeah, stay healthy. You kid.
Bye, y'all. Have a good one.